Hello and welcome. In this series of videos I shall be looking at the old Great Eastern Railway line from Wymondham to Wells and Wells Harbour. In this third and final part I shall be looking at the line from Fakenham to Wells and round to Wells Harbour. So, Fakenham Station. Renamed Fakenham East after nationalisation to avoid confusion with the M&GN line station, which is Fakenham Town, indicated by that red arrow. Facilities included a single platform and bay. To the north the line crossed Norwich Road via a level crossing. Sidings occupied land either side of this crossing, mainly on the downside. There was also a goods shed in the yard opposite the platform. A double line of railway ran through the station area. There were two signal boxes, north and south. The south box was closed in 1927. The north box was situated in a cutting, although as we have seen, to the south of the station the line was on an embankment. And here's a very old picture of the station building and the platform staff very proudly standing there looking at the camera. And here's a colour shot, very strange looking building here, like weatherboarded or wooden cladding. And there's a shot across Norwich Road to the platform on the downside. So as I move down the path towards Norwich Road, this is the station area now, completely covered with houses and roads. The only evidence is this post marking where Fakenham East Station was. And that's all there is, just a cul-de-sac and bungalows. Such a shame. And here's another reminder there was a railway here. This road sign just up from the station site, and that's looking back across Norwich Road from the other side at where the station would have been. And another little reminder of what was here once. And this is to the north of the station now in the cutting. The north signal box would have been somewhere in this cutting. As I couldn't walk along the trackbed any further, I had to walk round, and this is where I find where Holt Road crossed over the railway via this bridge. This is looking back towards Fakenham Station, fully overgrown there, and this is the other side of Holt Road. And you can see the arches of the bridge. And this is looking from the bridge towards Wells. And now I finally did get down onto the trackbed, and this is looking back towards the bridge carrying Holt Road under the railway. We're in quite a steep cutting here now, as you can probably make out from these shots. And as I turn round, this is looking now towards Wells. And the next bridge, still in a cutting. Unfortunately the next bridge has disappeared, and I had to walk up. Here we are up to the road which is called Greenway Lane, but now the bridge that was here is all gone, all filled in. So this is the other side of Greenway Lane where the railway would have been. It's now just a cul-de-sac to some new houses. So I'm going to have to walk round somewhere else and try and catch up with the railway. So this footpath crossed over the railway here, or this is where the two met one another. That's looking back towards Fakenham, and that's looking towards Wells. And the next piece of railway infrastructure is where Ruddam Lane crossed over the railway by this bridge. That's looking back towards Fakenham, all built on, couldn't get near there. but the other side I could get down to see the arch of the bridge hidden amongst the trees. And then the line went across this field, and you can't see anything of the railway line now. But when we look at an aerial shot, and where we've just been is indicated by that arrow, you can actually see the line of the old railway showing up in this aerial view across that field at an angle up towards the bypass, which is the yellow line at the top. When you get to the bypass, there's nothing to see, no indication of the railway. But I think it's fascinating how that old line shows up. Next we come to where the railway crossed Wells Road. That's looking back towards Fakenham and Wymondham. There is an old railway structure there, just a small brick building. There it is. Not sure what that was, probably just a plate layer's hut. Or maybe, yeah, I think that's what it was. And this is the other side. There's a house, I think. The railway went in that direction, straight ahead. I think that's probably a railway house. And this is all I could see of an old bridge at Hall Road. Just a bit of embankment that's looking towards Wells. And next we come to two more abutments of a bridge at Horton St Giles. Still can't get on the old railway line at the moment. That's looking back towards Fakenham on the embankment. So just after Horton St Giles I managed to get up onto the railway, and a couple of planes then gave me my own fly pass, which was very nice of them. No idea what those planes are, maybe somebody can let me know in the comments. And then further along the old railway line now, which is now a proper Pilgrim Way path. And a bit further along. And then we come to this, what used to be a bridge. This obviously this is just a new bridge for the footpath using the old railway abutments. And that's underneath. There you can see the abutments, and they've constructed a walkway across. Maybe the original wasn't strong enough, or I don't know. Back up onto the old line. We have been descending from one of the highest points of the line, and now we will be encountering just a short climb up to Walsingham. And there's a small bridge over just a path probably linking some fields. All fully overgrown. Quite a few people use this path between Horton St Giles and Walsingham. Both places have religious connections. More about Walsingham when I get there. And we continue along, and this is where the path becomes a road. So here we are now, a bit further along Sandy Lane, Walsingham station and yard is in the distance, goods shed right in front of us, platform and station building on the right, and that would have been sidings. And now we'll have a close-up of the platform, still there. Now a garden on the other side. Again, as I said before, this has religious connections here. And there's an old picture of the station and the goods shed, roughly in the direction we were looking just now. Single platform. It was a small station, 2 sidings into a goods shed, plus 3 more and a long head shunt. Single-storey station building, which is now St Seraphim's Chapel. And there you see the platform and the goods shed. So here we are looking in the other direction, back towards Wymondham. Station building and main platform on the left, and there's an end-on loading bay on the right-hand side, and then there would have been the goods shed. And this is what we see now. In 1966, the former station was leased by the Brotherhood of St Seraphim, and a chapel was built in the former gentleman's waiting room and booking office. And there is also an abbey in Walsingham town itself. And this is the end of Station Road, which ran down from the station to the main area and to Walsingham Abbey. About 200 yards to the north by Egmere Road is the terminus of the Wells and Walsingham Light Railway, a 10.25 inch gauge railway which uses the old Great Eastern Railway trackbed to its own terminus adjacent to Stiff Key Road in Wells. And this is looking towards Wells at that little station. And then further on now we come to Edgar Lane Bridge, an overbridge carrying the railway over, obviously, Edgar Lane. Next we come to the village of Wighton, which was provided with this small halt, which was basically a small platform, shelter and a bicycle rack. That is looking towards Wells, and this is now looking back towards Walsingham. You can just make out the platform. And this is looking the other way towards Wells. And now further down the track from the station you can see the back of the big house that was in that first old picture. And this is from the next bridge looking back towards Walsingham. And there in the distance is that house we've just seen at Wighton. And then Walsingham over in the far distance. And this is looking in the other direction towards Wells from that same bridge. And not far away is another overbridge. This is looking along the old trackbed towards Wymondham. And that's looking the other way towards Wells. Not much we can see this time of year. And this is on the actual railway approaching the bridge. And these are the 2 parapets of the bridge. Getting very overgrown now. You'd hardly know they were there. Then we come to this overbridge down this dead end road. Quite a high bridge here. The embankment's quite high either side. This is where Warham Road crosses over the railway. This is looking towards Wells. other side of the road would be looking back towards Wymondham. Again, you just make out the parapet through the greenery, but there's not much to see when you look over. And then I managed to get down and just catch this shot of the actual bridge itself across the field. Red brick, quite a fancy brickwork really. And here we are on the train going underneath that bridge. It seems more of a tunnel, but it's because it's on a very acute angle that it looks so long. So this is the end of the Wells and Walsingham Railway, and we're at Stiff Key Road, and the railway crossed over here and headed on round to Wells on Sea. So, Wells on Sea. The arrow indicates where we have been standing in the last shot, near Stiff Key Road, and the line crossed over and then curved round to the west and into Wells on Sea station, and then out again and round to the harbour up to the top there, and also down and round to Heacham. And on this aerial shot, again we shall start at the red arrow, and the Great Eastern Line is indicated by the red line, and that curves round to the left hand side and into Wells station, and then out again round to the left and up and round and again to the left on the harbour branch and along to the quay. The green line is the line to Heacham, which also came out of Wells station, and that curves round and down and up to the left and away to the west. The yellow line was a cord to connect the two lines together, but which was never completed. We finished the last video at Stiff Key Road at the end of the Wells and Walsingham Railway, and just the other side of the road we can just make out that hedge line across the other side of the field, and that hedge line is actually the line of the old cord that connected the GER line to the Heacham line, and the Heacham line crossed the main road here just up from where the Wymondham line crossed the main road. That's the Wells side, and across the main road there, that's where the Heacham line went off and round the town and off to Heacham. So, Wells station. 2 platforms providing 4 platform faces. The eastern platform was covered, and the second platform, which was added in 1866 when the Heacham line was built, a canopy for this platform was built in the 1930s. There were sidings and sheds either side of the station, together with loco servicing facilities and a turntable. The actual goods shed also served as an engine shed. And here we have a picture of the station on the roadside, an old postcard showing the station building virtually in the centre, and to the left of that a smaller building, and to the left of that a much taller building. Now let's see what it looks like now. And here's the station now. That building in front is the building we saw to the left of the station in that earlier photo. This is a full-on view of the front of the station, and in this view that's the side. That smaller building in front was probably the gents' loos, and that's the other side of the station, and the platforms and canopies would have been roughly in that area. And this is round the back of the station with the turntable looking across to those two buildings that we saw earlier. And this is after the railway had been cleared away, the entrance to Great Eastern Way, looking at that smaller building that we've seen before. And that's the sign that we've just seen in that old shot. And now we're rounding Great Eastern Way, looking back towards the station where the platforms etc. would have been. And this is the other direction. Looking ahead, the lines would have diverged. One way would have gone to the right towards Wymondham and one to the left onto the harbour branch, which we'll look at now. So in the background there is where we've just been, at the end of the station area, and the harbour branch curves round roughly where that hedgerow is, the other side of that field, and slowly curves round and starts to head north, and that's where we'll pick it up now. So we've come round from the station and we're now heading northwards on the old harbour branch line. This was a goods-only line which ran round the eastern fringes of the town and then along the harbour wall to the quay. And just under this overhanging tree, there suddenly appears a bridge. A brick arch, red brick, seen them many times before. Very good brickwork, but unfortunately getting a bit common there. Although bricklayers wouldn't agree with you. And now we'll move on further towards the harbour. And now we're just about to turn to the west. And now we're moving along between all these fishing small buildings, etc. It was about 7:30 in the morning and a hive of activity. And now we're on along by the slipways, heading for the quay. And now we've reached the end of the harbour, we're now on the quay. And we'll go a little bit further along here. This is a very popular destination for people visiting Norfolk. Normally it would be crowded. Wells was a small harbour, fishing town and shipyard, but the silting of the harbour and the arrival of railways caused its decline, but there was some compensation by the arrival of day trippers by train. And now we're on further along the quay. There's an old picture of roughly this spot, and that's just about where the railway would have ended, just a little bit further ahead, possibly where that car is parked. And over that way there used to run a little miniature railway. And this is looking back to the way we've just come along the harbour and the quayside. As I said earlier, this was 7:30 in the morning, so there was hardly anybody about except the fishermen. So this is the little harbour railway that used to run from here, just near the quay, down to the beach, and also the Pinewood Woods Holiday Park. So I'll just let you enjoy this for a few minutes, as maybe some people haven't seen it before.
Hang on, I need a lead on something for a few minutes.
It's 10¼ inch gauge. It runs for 1100 metres, and it ran from 1976 to 2021. Nifty little set of points there he's just worked. think you've probably realised by now, but that is not a proper steam engine. So that concludes this look at the old Great Eastern Railway line from Wymondham to Wells and Wells Harbour in Norfolk, formed, as we have seen, from several smaller companies and finally absorbed by the Great Eastern Railway, who in 1923 became part of the London and North Eastern Railway and eventually the eastern region of British Railways after nationalisation. But not long after the Beeching Report in 1963, in 1964 there was a total closure north of Fakenham of the line, and in 1965 the Wymondham to Dereham section was reduced to a single line. In 1968, the Dereham to King's Lynn line was also closed. In 1969, passenger services were withdrawn between Wymondham and Dereham. Goods trains continued to run as far as Fakenham until 1980. The line was slowly cut back, first to Ryburgh in 1983 and then to North Elmham in January 1989. The Wymondham to Dereham section was closed in April 1989. Already in April 1982, the first service had run on a reopened section of the line between Wells and Walsingham, run by the Wells and Walsingham narrow gauge railway. And in December 1995, the first train ran on the Mid-Norfolk Railway, only for a short distance, but eventually there would be a regular service between Wymondham Abbey near Wymondham and Dereham. Well, I hope you have found this interesting. I certainly enjoyed doing it, the research and etc. And I'll see you in another video. Thanks for watching.